So let me briefly introduce the company, Vertical Journey. We have about 8 or 9 companies this semester, and all of them represent interesting industries, promising businesses. But one of them is really, really cool. So if you ever wanted to be an Indiana Jones, if you like adventure, if you like exotic places, Vertical Journey is the company to go. So this company has a very interesting product and a very interesting model, and does business in a very, very beautiful location. So I definitely would like to become their customer one day and go on one of those hikes or tours. So now, Rodrigo, can you please unmute your microphone so we see you, but for some reason there is no sound. So let me see if I can add it. I think you need to unmute your microphone. Okay, so now we can hear you as well. Yes, everything's good. So one quick note on how this will go. So as you know, we have 2 webinars with every company, and we already had 1 webinar with the Vertical Journey. And so in that webinar, they focused primarily on introducing the company, and we will talk a little bit more about the company in general today. So I know that we have at this time about 30 students, and some of them are from the early track, and they have been working on this challenge for a while. And so they will have an opportunity to present their ideas and perhaps get feedback. But at the same time, we have some students who have just started, who have been placed on the teams in the last couple days. And so for them, that's the first contact, the first meeting with the company. You can watch the recording of the first webinar in case you want to see the more general introduction. But again, if you have any questions, today is a good time to ask them. The way you can engage in the conversation is this. You can press the button raise hand. Like you literally have a button at the bottom of the screen that says raise hand. And when you do that, we will see you and we will add you to the conversation. So you will be able to engage in the discussion and talk to us directly. Or you can just type your comments. You have a button there that says Q&A, questions and answers. You can just type your questions there. And the only thing that I would like to ask you before we start the presentation, so press that raise hand button if you are here from the early track, if you have been working on the challenge for 5 weeks already, and if you're here with perhaps already some ideas. So if you are in the early track, raise your hand. So I see Samuel, Taylor, Diana. Okay, wonderful. Okay, we have quite a few students from the early track. Nice. So, okay, it's about half of the participants. So those of you, Heather, Sabas, Asavari, so if you would like to talk to the company and present the ideas that you have so far, get feedback so that in the remaining 2 weeks you can use that feedback to polish your report, just raise your hand at any time and you will be given a chance to talk. And then the students who are here from the late track, who have just started, if you have any clarifying questions, you can also ask them at any time. And so maybe just to make sure that everybody is familiar with the company enough to carry on the discussion, perhaps we will give a few minutes to the company, to Rodrigo, to briefly overview one more time what they do, a little bit about the history of the company, a little bit about the products, and then we will get into the discussion, question, answers, feedback. Would that be okay, Rodrigo?
Yeah, I can do perhaps not like last time, so it's not redundant.
No, sure. No need to do a full-blown presentation, but just a little bit about the company, so those who see you for the first time, so that they know what you do. As I said, it's a cool company. It's a great location. It's a very interesting speaker. But again, some of you see you for the first time, so they might want to know that, like a little overview presentation.
All right.
Please go ahead.
All right, I begin. All right, well, the company's name is Vertical Journey. It's an adventure tourism company located in the northern jungle and mountains of Peru. We do adventure tourism. We innovate in what touristic activities are, incorporating what is mountain techniques and mountain climbing techniques into tourism. So we do stuff like rappelling down waterfalls, extreme tree climbing, things of the sort. Really, for Peru, that is very innovative. I know things like this are done in other places of the world, but over here it's brand new. And well, it's a startup. We started in 2016, and right now we are looking to expand. So far, we've been really concentrating on what the product is, having a really good product, a strong one. We work with very good hotels of all kinds in Tarapoto and Chichapoyas, which are the regions that we're in the north of Peru, and transportation, restaurants, everything. We have everything there, and we do the activities ourselves. So that's pretty much an overview of what Vertical Journey is. Right now, currently, we're looking to expand in marketing. We want to up our sales. We are ready to receive clients after 2 years. That's it. We are at that point where we want to have more clients. We are ready for it.
And where do your clients come from at this time? What are the countries primarily you sort of serve at this time already?
At this time, about 70% are Peruvians, mostly from the city of Lima, the capital. And but we are also, as time passes, we're having more and more clients from Europe, US, and Canada. Europe, especially, a lot of people from Europe, France, England, Norway. We have some people from New Zealand, even just a little while ago. We're getting people from all over the place, really. But 70% would be Peruvian from Lima.
And last time you said that the locations you take your tourists to are not the usual tourist paths, right? So you operate in a more exotic, less known areas. Isn't that true?
Exactly. That's where innovation comes in. What we look to do in tourism is really take the touristic activities to a next level. Really, for example, Tarapoto, Chachapoyas, they have very beautiful places, but the activities has always been like the Achilles tendon of tourism. The activities are a bit, they're not up to par with what the expectations are, with what you can do in the jungle, those type of things. So that's why we take people to like these places where other agencies don't go to, and we create new products in new places. Usually we work directly with the native communities in order to have access to these places and even involve them in what the tours are.
Right, right. Well, so again, those who would like to learn more about the company in general terms, obviously can watch the original webinar, but now we have several teams that would like to present their work to you and maybe get some feedback. And I see Sebas here is already. Sebas Anaya, are you ready to share with the company what your team has so far and maybe ask for feedback? We added you as a panelist so you can just engage in the discussion. Just go ahead. We see you and we hear you.
Yeah, sure. First of all, good morning. So yeah, my team has been working on this for the last couple of weeks, and yesterday I was talking with one of my teammates that was supposed to be here with me, but she couldn't. So I said, like, what do you really want me to ask? And she just said, like, we would like to mention the recommendations we are working on for Vertical Journey, to see if like you consider them a good option, a good possibility, and like just verify if you consider we are on the right track, and get maybe some comments about that, or
yeah, go ahead. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, after doing like all the SWOT analysis, the market analysis, and that, we have been considering that a very promising market is the United States. Given all the you said that we should research the like the economical, political, social factors, and we found a list of the top 10 countries that have recently visited Peru, and precisely the United States is the third or second, I don't quite remember now, but we chose that market given that the tourism and the capabilities of Americans to make such trips. And then we have been considering using two strategies to attract tourists from the United States, which has been using social media via Facebook, via Instagram and Twitter, because we have realized that perhaps it's not being as used as it could. And the other one is via marketing agency, which could help you make Vertical Journey more popular in Peru, more attractive to travelers, and basically just help you get their attention and make them want to travel with Vertical Journey.
All right. So what you're saying is first about you're telling me about marketing in the US mostly through social networks. Am I right?
Yeah, that's one of the options.
All right, definitely, I'm interested in that. The thing is, I'm not closing myself off to any options. I mean, mostly my clients are from Europe, and from what I have seen, Europeans like adventure more than Americans. It's just a statistic that I've seen on my work. But I am definitely, I know there's many people in North America that love adventure and want to get to meet the jungle. So I would definitely very much interested in opening up a US market. Using social networks. Right now we are present, but they could be managed in a better fashion. So definitely managing our social networks in a better fashion and targeting North America, it's in our list. We are interested, and we would definitely be interested in you guys giving us an option on how to approach this.
Do you guys provide enough details in your report as to how it could be done? I mean, you identified some very promising venues, but are you planning to provide detailed step-by-step guidelines how the company can execute that plan?
Yeah, actually, yeah, but I'm not quite sure right now which were the proposals, because it's one of my teammates who got really into it, so I don't quite remember. But for example, one of our options is not exactly social media, but was to make local promotion of Vertical Journey in local coffee shops and stuff like that.
Yeah. One thing that I would like to add to that, or maybe as a piece of advice to the teams, so over these years, I have seen literally thousands of the student reports. I mean, every semester we get about 1,000 submissions. So one of the problems I see, and I'm not sure if it applies to your team or not, but one problem that I see is that the teams often identify potential limitations in the company strategy and even provide, as I said, promising venues, but lack in terms of the specifics. Like they would say, I think you should advertise, let's say, for example, on social media in the United States. And they stop there. So it is true, it's a good approach, but I mean, it would be so much more useful if you provided some more actionable advice where you would say, okay, I think you should advertise on, let's say, Facebook. This is how much it will cost. This is the audience you need to select. This is what the ad might look like. This is the time of the day when you should post those ads. Provide all those details, step-by-step instructions that the company can, and not only this company, any company, can literally just follow your script and basically execute that strategy as you advised. Because simply given a general idea like advertise on Facebook, I mean, obviously the company has thought about that. Obviously they probably consider that option. But unless you give those actionable specific steps, it may not be very useful. So the way you can win this competition is to provide all those specific details so that the company can literally use your work as a guideline and then perhaps execute it. So try to be as specific as possible.
All right.
Yeah.
We're definitely looking for specifics. Definitely looking for a specific marketing plan, because we have many ideas. Marketing ideas, believe me, we have a million of those. What we need is really good marketing ideas with guidelines on how to achieve those things. That's what we need pretty much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Ray and a bunch of other people would like to ask their questions, and I see Vojislav wants to engage in the presentation. So Ray, if you're still with us, I know you need to leave early. You have some very good questions. Just unmute your microphone and go ahead and ask them. And then I'm going to add other people. So Vojislav, I'm adding you also to the panel in case you would like to ask your questions here. So please go ahead. And while it seems like they're not quite sure how to operate the microphones, let me read a few questions here. For example, Rohith is asking whether or not you're open to the idea of changing the name of your company.
No, I'm not open to the idea of changing the name. And definitely, Vertical Journey, I believe, is
right.
I'm already set on it. Everything's already set on it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't change the name.
Yeah, I like the name. So we did have a company in the past, in fact, that participated in this semester where they did change the name in response to the student advice. But I don't know, Vertical Journey seems like such a good multi-meaning name. I mean, it means many things and seems to be very appropriate for a company of this kind. So, but yeah.
Even vertical in Spanish is the same as in English, vertical. So,
which is extremely important. Again, we've had stories. In fact, one of the reasons that company had to change the name because the original name didn't sound good in English. And so here you have the name that is more universal comes kind of from a more like Latin origin, I believe. So understood in most languages. So that's very important. Vojislav, Ray, I've added you to the panel in case you would like to ask your questions. Please go ahead.
Hi, Rodriguez. This is Ray.
Yeah.
I have a few questions for you. The first thing is, is it possible to see your financials from 2016? And if you are looking for marketing planning, is there already a budget which is already been placed so that it helps us to see what we are going to propose from the marketing point of view? And is there any funding which has already been acquired by your company to set apart for this marketing plan?
All right, Reed. As for the budget, we do not have a defined budget, but we do have the means to get the budget that we might need. So pretty much, well, we're not looking at a millionaire budget either, but we do have ways to be able to finance ourselves. We have many people here in Peru that are interested in investing in Vertical Journey. We have the means to get to be able to finance ourselves. We just want to be able to finance ourselves in the correct direction. Right now, we really want to explode with marketing, but we're pretty much on hold right now. We're doing this X-Culture experience. We're getting many new ideas. And after this whole experience is over and we have all of these ideas already consolidated, we're looking to really go into it. So if we have really good ideas, they might need more finance or less finance, but if they're good ones, we will go for it. So don't feel like the budget is a prison.
Yeah. Again, if I can give a quick advice, in the past, the best ideas the best ideas actually did not require a big budget. Sometimes students try to, recommend like advertise on TV, for example, which is very expensive and in many cases is not even the best way to go. But the most brilliant ideas actually were nearly free. Like the students would find ways to promote a company through, for example, professional channels that doesn't cost anything but go directly to the people who potentially can buy the product. So usually, try to think about ideas that do not require much money, but at the same time have a great potential. Those are the most interesting solutions.
So shall I go ahead with the second one, Wes?
Yes, go ahead, please. Yeah, I know you have multiple questions.
The second one is, have you have anything set up for your web analytics to see which visitors visit your website? And have you used the free promoting channel MailChimp as a email marketing promotion materials in past?
All right. I did start that, what you're saying. I have started using analytics to be able to see where my clients come from. But one of the things that started happening is that most of my clients come through word of mouth. So suddenly I started doing some statistics on the clients coming in, everything like that. But as I said, I've been very much on my own on this entrepreneurship. So now I'm starting to get more of a team together, but there's some information that has been just passing me by really because of just lack of time in order to be able to consolidate it. Nevertheless, I do have some of that information, and I have used analytics. But as I said, word of mouth has been the main engine for Vertical Journey, which has been a pretty good one.
Right. And again, if you guys have any suggestions for what statistics to look at, how to obtain them, again, that's your opportunity to give that advice. Vojislav, did you plan to present your team's work and ask for feedback?
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
I was gonna present a little bit of ideas what we had and then ask. So I want to ask Rodrigo if he has some kind of partnership with maybe even university that he went to, or the universities around the northern part of Peru. Some universities that I noted, just a moment, was National University of Trujillo, University of Piura, Catholic University of Peru, Northern Private University. And what I had in mind is that a lot of those universities have international students. They're doing maybe a study abroad programs, or even the universities that itself have a lot of potential, especially for the adventurous tourism, such as vertical journeys. So yeah, just that question throwing out, and that's part of the idea, one of the ideas that my group from Earlham College had.
All right, so pretty much the idea is international students in local universities.
Yeah, but not only stopping on international students, but that could be very good attraction for them to discover the northern part of Peru. But also you could take into consideration the rest of the Peruvian student body.
All right, I have definitely looked into this. I've been looking into international students in universities and working hand to hand with universities. But the way to get in on this isn't as easy as it might seem. I have contacted students, I have contacted universities, but the ways to get in there aren't so simple. So I would actually, it's a really good idea, and I want to do it. But what I need is a way to. So the idea is good, but just a way to, like, just how I would go by this exactly, how to enter all of these universities. Why would they choose me rather than other people? Also, it's adventure tourism. Many times the university doesn't really want to promote adventure tourism because they're like, oh no, adventure tourism, it could be dangerous. Let's just save ourselves
liability.
Boom. So that also happens.
Yeah, we definitely have some marketing strategies in terms of universities in our paper, and then some of the ideas would be, well, as you said, you're targeting the university as an institution, but what if you target only the students, so universities do not have any liabilities, and then using some marketing strategies. I know from marketing class, we called it guerrilla marketing strategies, where you go and basically face to face hand out the marketing material and stuff like that. Maybe some promotion as buy one get one free or something like that. I mean, there are definitely ways to think about. So that was my main question.
I would definitely be interested in seeing your marketing ideas for that specific market.
Right. Thank you.
All right. So, Vojislav, did you want to run by some more ideas and ask for feedback, or did you just want to ask questions? Because we have a lot of questions and a bunch of other people who are trying to talk. So.
That was mainly it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, I see Ray is planning to ask more questions, and I see Juliet is trying to also ask questions. So who's going to go next?
I have just to add on to the one with universities. So should I go ahead with that, or?
Yes, please go ahead, Ray. Yes.
Rodriguez, I believe that at the age of 28, you have reached a milestone, and it's a great story to share with the business schools. So have you tried to contact some business schools and be a keynote speaker and share your stories, so that from sharing your stories, you are actually marketing your company to the universities and the new graduates, and if they are interested in planning to have something promotions. So if you are trying to enter into an university and see, I think the way you should approach is how you will be able to share your entrepreneurial journey to the new inspiring right? And that is the very good way of entering into an university, and sharing your story will bring out the mouth of word about what vertical journey is, and people will be interested into it.
Excellent question. And if Rodrigo, if you are ever in North Carolina, we definitely would like you as a speaker at my university.
Thank you. All right, answering the question. Well, I am actually currently doing that. It's I'm at a university right now. They are giving me a monitor, everything. I'm at the University of Esan in Lima. So I have been contacting universities, but as I said, it's I've only done it halfway. We could say that I could definitely expand on it. I could definitely grow on it, but in this marketing, I'm just getting into this with strength now. and there's so many options that I'm looking to really be able to focus on some. So I would definitely be interested in universities, but it would be really good, as Vas said, seeing the know-how, exactly the route I would take in order to be able to reach these universities. Not just through mails, because sometimes people ignore just the mails. It's a little bit more than that, perhaps like specific presentations, stuff like that. I don't know the best way to reach the universities, but I am doing that. Right now, as I said, I'm in a university.
And don't forget, it's a small company with limited resources. So Rodrigo cannot be in 25 places at the same time. So it is always a matter also of time and resources. So the ideas are great, but implementing them requires time and resources, right? There is a question from Juliet. Juliet, would you like to go ahead and ask a question? You have a very interesting one about marketing. You need to unmute your microphone. Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I am kind of new in the discussion. I read a little bit about it, and I apologize if it's repeating. I just want to know if, like, to be able to propose something new, we need to know, like, what have you done previously? So in that case, we don't kind of redund on the same ideas. Like, if you have used social media, if you have done YouTube, if you have done all these marketing channels, that would be good to know. In terms of branding, like, what is, I understand that you are exploring places where other agencies are not going to, but it would be also interesting to know what type of services do you have there. I don't know, is there, like, let's say in Colombia, I am originally from Colombia, we have a place that is a desert, and I did this trip there, and the agencies also kind of, like, they choose particular places where not everyone can go, like, so they, for example, give us the jeeps because you can only go by jeep, and not everyone can drive to the desert because this place is, is different, and we don't know the routes and all this stuff. So just an example to, to know more, like, do you have type of services like transportation? There are, like, what are the benefits out of these exotic places, and of course, like, the cost for future tourists. And I heard that your principal market come from Europe, right? Still, as someone said previously, I know a lot of people here in the United States that are very interested in going to South America. The main problem they find here is that most Americans feel that South America is unsafe, pretty much. I just have found out that. So the adventurous idea is really good for Americans as well. They go everywhere too. I just see that the unsafetyness is a main idea that they have here. So
It's
just,
a lot of questions.
I know. I'm so sorry. I was just analyzing.
Right.
It's two things mostly that you just said, which is you want me to talk about the specific product and the services that there are, and then
Yeah.
So first, I will go with product.
Yeah.
We have all the services necessary. That's where our we have a very extensive work with the native communities. Every time we go somewhere, it's not we go somewhere where there's absolutely nobody. There's usually people, but they're not, let's say, Westerners. They're native communities. They have a different way of doing things. So that's where we're. That's where the fun part of the work is. That really we go explore, then we talk to them. We present these type of working mechanisms where they can actually make a living from tourism instead of having to be cutting down forest, which is usually what happens because they make their chacras in order to have coffee and cacao and those things that we grow here in the Amazon. But tourism, it's much cleaner and it's much more sustainable because you don't depredate the land. So the native communities take care of keeping. You have to keep up the roads. The roads have to be the walking roads. Jungle, you cannot move unless you have a road. It's very dense. So they do that. They usually, one of them guides us in order to look out for snakes or whatever can be there. So we always have a native with us on our tours. And they are taking care of the place. we always have a hotel nearby. It could be 20, 30 minutes away, but that's pretty close by. So we always have an eco lodge. Usually that's what I work with, close by. So those services are good. And the roads nowadays are much better. That's where safety comes in. All right. South America has a whole reputation for being unsafe, really, because it kind of is, but it depends when and it depends where. It's not that all of South America is unsafe. That's
right.
a myth. But depends. For example, the place I work in 30 years ago was unsafe. I would have never recommended somebody to go there 30 years ago because there was terrorism in Peru and it was very unsafe. But nowadays, that's over with. That's terrorism is gone. And right now, it's really one of the safest places. Like, I really feel safer in the jungle than I do when I walk around in the city, or even when I went to the United States.
In Chicago.
I started walking. I was in San Francisco not too long ago, walking in the city. I ended up in a place called the Tenderloin, something like that. I felt pretty unsafe, huh?
Right, right.
So safety is really one of those things that really changes. There's always that stigma that South America, oh, unsafe, all of that like that. But it's really not true. I mean, if you go to Venezuela right now, it'll be pretty unsafe. If you go to the main cities, there's a revolution going on over there. If you go to where like Las FARC is at in Colombia, you might find some danger too, but it's not everywhere. So you have to really choose the places you go to. And right now, the places I work at are extremely safe.
Nice. Ray, you had a question too, so I know you have to leave. So here is your last chance to ask a question. Please go ahead, unmute your microphone.
Thank you very much. My last question is, have Vertical Journey has any collaborations with any travel agent associations or with any other travel agents from other countries?
All right. Right now, I have many alliances with local travel agencies and hotels. They send me many clients. The ones in Peru, they send me clients from all over Peru because I've introduced myself to many agencies and hotels. International wise, I work with some people that send me clients. For example, I have a contact in Spain that he has his agency. He sends me some people. And in other places of the world, just some friends and people I know that send me people. I am definitely interested in growing that, having many more of those contacts because it's very interesting. There's also the way of how to get to them, because when you present yourself, you're just one more. I mean, I have a nice website, all of that, but the presentation really has to be something that goes a little bit beyond. So if you have ideas of what countries to work, what places to work, exactly how to present ourselves and do that, you're on the right track. It's definitely interesting.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of questions that come through different channels. Let me read you a couple of questions that came from email. So, for example, we have several questions from Roberto de Palma. One of them says, you mentioned that 70% of your customers at this time are Peruvian.
Yes.
Are you willing to increase the number of international customers? And if so, what countries you're most interested in?
All right. The countries I'm most interested in are everywhere. It's just Vertical Journey isn't cheap. That's the one thing why I don't like, why I want to target international. It's pretty much twice as expensive as what they sell in Tarapoto, but it's 10 times the quality. So if you compare price benefit, it's excellent to take Vertical Journey. But Peruvian markets, it's really difficult. People are always looking for very much price oriented, so it's difficult. That's why I want to target international better. What countries? Anywhere really, wherever you have
as long as people are willing to come. Yeah. There is another very interesting question about compensation. So what kind of employees do you have? What kind of people do you pay? And what kind of pay structure do you have with them? And I assume that it applies both to the tour guides, but also perhaps to the sales agents or maybe partnerships. So how does it work with the compensation?
All right, compensation. All right, for the tours, I have a group. I have a team of mountain rescuers that we train before, that we are training all the time. Twice a year, I bring in somebody from the high mountains of Huaraz, the Andes Mountains here, that they go to the glaciers and they do a huge seminar for us in order to keep sharp and learn new mountain rescue techniques. So I have assembled a team. It's more or less, right now we have 8 people, counting me, that are mountain rescuers in Tarapoto. So they take care of the tours. And the way we pay them is by eventual, it's not every time they work. So every time they have a tour, they get paid. So they're receiving payment for the tours they do. We have a pretty good rotation, so they're always there. But many of them have other jobs as well. And when we have a group, I send information who wants to take this tour for this date, and the people sign up, and they're like, all right, I'll take it. All right, we have this other date. So that's the way I'm working with. That's the way I work with my team. So the team is always being involved, always rotating. People are staying sharp. They're very, very strong team. And the way I work with agencies is always a 15% commission. In tourism, most of the things work with commission, 15%.
So is that about a standard rate? Because it seems quite high, actually.
It is quite high, but it's a very good incentive for people to send us clients.
Right, makes sense. Yeah. Nasra and Vojislav, I see you had questions. Nasra apparently wanted to present some ideas, get feedback. Vojislav, I saw that you have some questions, so if you would like to unmute your microphones and go ahead now. I'm not sure, Nasra, are you ready? You were first.
I'm sorry if I'm a bit shaky. I'm commuting. Okay,
yes,
my question. Ahead. Basically, if let's say, for example, a government agency approaches you for them to actually promote their tourism sector, will you go for such an offer?
I would definitely go for an offer like that, but working with Peruvian government is difficult. That's why I haven't. I tried in the beginning, but this isn't the first world. This is it's a bit weird over here when you have to work with government.
Right.
But interest for sure.
Yep. Yeah, if you have any suggestions, Nasra, if you perhaps maybe have some contacts, feel free to suggest them obviously in your report.
Definitely.
Vojislav, would you like to go with your question?
Yeah, me again. So I just have a question related to profit margin. And so what exact trip do?
Oh, sorry, I think we lost Vojislav. Where did you disappear? Let me see if I can add him back. But so the cost structure and profit structure. I'm not sure if you're allowed even to disclose that information. I suppose it could be proprietary. But if you would like to give us some indication, that's so I'm trying to add Vojislav back.
I can. Should I wait for him to get back? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vojislav, I must have pressed the wrong button or something. Yes.
Yeah.
If you would like to finish your question, please.
Yeah. So my question was, from which trip do you profit the most, if that makes sense? So 2 days trip, half a day trip, 1 day trip, 4-day trip. So what trip brings you the most profit?
Definitely the longer the better.
The longer the better. All right.
The better the profit. I mean, the way you make money in tourism, and when you sell, because you make a 5-day trip, for example, you have hotels in there, you have restaurants, you have transportations, and then you have touristic activities.
Mm-hmm.
Touristic activities I do myself. So that means if I have them for 5 days, I'm doing 5 touristic activities. That's profit coming in through the activities. But then also hotels, restaurants, and transports, I get commissions from those 3 because I have special prices. So I'm getting commissions for those 3 things. And it's for 5 days. So definitely the longer that we have the person with us, the better.
Yeah. All right. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
There is a question from Mohammed Abdil Nisar. He's asking about your business in Asian countries, especially he's interested in India and Pakistan. And apparently he's asking both things. First, do you have many customers from Asia? And second, it seems to you like he's asking whether or not you're willing to do tours in Asia. And my understanding is that no, you operate in Peru, but perhaps you could clarify that as well.
All right. Right now we operate in Peru, and we're planning to just be in Peru for a while.
Right.
And next we're planning to grow on South America. We're not restricted to just Peru, but right now we're northern Peru. That's where the concentration is at. Then we start to expand. Asia, well, oof, I would love to go to Asia, and I would love to do some stuff in Asia, but that would be at another stage, really. And well, customers from there, oof, very much welcome. We don't have a language, might be a barrier, but well, we have English, so I'm pretty sure they're gonna come with English. We have English, other languages too, but Dutch, German, French, Spanish, but we don't have any Asian languages really in our repertoire. Although we might later on. Many expats work with us.
That makes sense. There is another question from Taylor Jensen. You mentioned that 70% of your clients are Peruvian. Have there been any interest from the other South American countries? In particular, his team is looking at Chileans, and according to their research, Peru is the main destination for Chileans for tourism. So do you work with Chile and other Latin American countries?
All right. I am definitely interested in other South American countries. That fact about Chile, though, is a bit deceptive, though, because Chile, usually there is a lot of tourism into Peru from Chile, but it's usually to the south of Peru. There's a place called Tacna in the south of Peru, Puno, Cusco, those areas. So they go there a lot. They go by car, boom, 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 come back to Chile. So it's a bit deceptive in the fact that, yes, a lot of people from Chile come to Peru, but they come to the south of Peru because it's right there, very close to the country. Me, I'm on the northern side. I'm closer to Ecuador, Colombia. Nevertheless, though, I have had clients from Chile. I've had clients from Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, even some people from Venezuela. So definitely interested in those markets as well. I got no restrictions. Argentina as well, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Jenny Liu has a bunch of interesting questions, and I added her to the panelists here. Jenny, if you would like to unmute your microphone and perhaps ask your questions directly, because you have several and they're very interesting.
Yes, I have unmuted my microphone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my first question is that my team is a little bit confused about the competitor analysis. We don't know, besides the competitors in the new market, do we also need to analyze the ones in Peru? So
it's a more general question, I suppose. So competition in general, perhaps. So Rodrigo, maybe you can mention something more about your competition from your point of view. And then when the students will be analyzing your competitive position, would you like them to analyze them only against other markets or also against competition in Peru?
Our competition really over here, Vertical Journey is actually promoting two things. One is we're promoting ourselves as a company, choose come with Vertical Journey. But at the same time, we are promoting the location, the north of Peru. So in what activities are, really, we have no competition in all of northern Peru. We are the only ones doing this. Pretty much, it's the only serious ones really that have a strong marketing, that want to do a strong marketing for it. We have a really good product. We're the ones that are really into it, you get me? And on the other part though, on the part of location, that's where the competition would come in. Most of the people coming to Peru want to do the southern circuits. They want to go to Cusco because of Machu Picchu. They want to go to Puno, Arequipa. I mentioned it on the other seminar, but that circuit is already, well, it's not collapsing, but already it's full. There's a lot of people going over there. The northern circuit, a lot less people, which is something that all travelers look for. They don't want to go do lines with a bunch of people. They want to be more chill, more on their own. So on location, we definitely have competition in its other locations in Peru, especially the south. But I don't know. I would always call it as something like more a cooperation. Competition, I feel like Vertical Journey doesn't really have it's not really competing. It's more, it's just opening up a whole new market, a whole new experience.
Right. Jenny, you had more questions if you would like to ask them before we go on to the next student.
Oh, sorry. I just want to clarify about my first question. So is that true that as for the competitors, we need to focus on analyzing the competitors in southern Peru and the new market, right?
For your report, you mean, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what the company is interested in, but for us, from the academic point of view, whichever you think is the strongest competition, and you would like to point out that to the company, we don't really impose any restriction on geography. So if you think that they have the most threats from other Peruvian companies, talk about that. And apparently it's not really much competition there. But then also, if you want to look at the international options, you can discuss that as well in your report.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go briefly into my second question, which is about the promotion cost. So firstly, we cannot find the reliable costs about the brochures. I don't know how to deal with this issue.
You mean how much it costs to order some brochures that you can distribute?
Yes, we cannot find a reliable cost.
I don't know. Do you do that, Rodrigo? I mean, do you offer some sort of brochures or printable materials that students interested in promoting your company can use?
Definitely. I currently use, I don't know the word in English, trípticos. For example, I give a material to hotels and agencies that want to promote Vertical Journey, and they have this material with them. So I could definitely send it to students that are interested in doing it.
Yeah, if you have something perhaps that we can download and then have ready for the students in case they would like to print them out, we would be happy to distribute that.
Yeah, I can do that. No problem.
Any more questions, Jenny? And Nadia, you had a question you sent me by email, so I added you to the panelist. If you would like to ask it next, just unmute your microphone and you can go ahead. But Jenny, did you have any more questions?
So I have a last question about social media promotion costs. So for the channels such as the Facebook, we can only find the cost in terms of CPC and CPM. Is that enough, or should I go into further details?
I didn't really understand it.
So as for the social media promotion channels such as Facebook promotion, we can only find the promotion cost in terms of CPC or CPM, which means pay per click or pay per 1,000 impressions. I don't know whether is that enough, or should I go into further detailed information about the promotion cost?
Again, maybe if I can, Rodrigo, can I say a couple of words about that? Because this question goes to every single company. That's the point, students. I mean, most of you do recommend online advertisement, especially on Facebook. And obviously, when you advertise on Facebook, you have like 20 different types of ads that you can use. You can use pictures, you can use calls to action, you can use videos, you can do all those things. And you have so many different ways to pay for it. You have an option to pay, pay per click or pay per view or pay per reaction and so on and so on. And so I'm not sure if it would be the right way to ask the company what they want to do. The point here, I mean, we need you so you can educate us as to what you think the best strategy would be. And so if you recommend anything like that, do your analysis, do your research and maybe provide your own advice. You can literally say that, for example, if you advertise on Facebook, we recommend that you use this type of advertisement and this is why. We recommend that you advertise to these audiences, demographics, and this is why. We recommend that you choose this or use these statistics to track the effectiveness of your promotion, and this is why. And this is how you set it up. And this is where you go to see those statistics. The more ideas like this you give, the more details like this you give, the more actionable it becomes. Because, again, as a general idea, we know that. But that's the details. That's what sometimes, is the most interesting part, and that's sometimes what is missing from the student reports, right?
So I need to add more details, like how to promote, like the detailed steps, and clearly explain the reason why. Is that correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you. So anyone else has questions? I still have a few questions that came by email, but since we're running out of time, so those of you right here, if you would like to ask questions, you can just raise your hand. Samuel, I've added you to the panelist. I saw you raised your hand. So if you want to, again, unmute your microphone, go ahead and ask a question. Samuel?
Hi. I have a question as regards to all the activities that Vertical Jump offers, besides just a list, basically, of all activities that we would be able to advertise.
All right, I can, or at least I could pass it by mail, but it's pretty much activities. They're not all just adventure. We specialize on adventure, but for example, on a 5-day tour, we have other activities as well. I mean, 5 days only adventure, all 5 days is pretty intense. So usually we mix it up. For example, one day we do some adventure, but that night we go to these thermal baths that are amazing, or mud baths and stuff like that, or just a boat tour across the lake, or a full-day tour where you do paddle surfing, kayaking, just chilling. And another day extreme tree climbing, which is, so we usually mix it up a little bit. That's where tour design comes in. That's very important in tourism, tour design. You don't want to just make it all the same. You really want to switch it up a little bit, and to make it the best experience possible. So I design it according to that, and I can send you the list. I can send the list just to the main email. I can send it to Vas, and then he can just spread it out.
Thank you very much. Great.
Roberto De Palma has an interesting question. Roberto, would you like to ask it? Just unmute your microphone and go ahead. And while Roberto is switching on his microphone, I received several questions by email about business in general. One question asks, what is the most difficult part of being a business owner? Another one asks, if I would like to have my own small business in the future, what should I do now as a student? And then another one, do you ever regret that you created your own company? Would you prefer to work for a corporation from 8 till 5 instead?
All right, let's go one question at a time. Those are fun questions.
The most difficult part of being a business owner.
The most difficult part is timing. There is not enough time. I mean, there is concentration, stuff like that. I mean, I have to do so many things. I have to be taking care of, for example, product. Product is a whole thing. It's I gotta be creating new products, doing explorations, making sure that what I have works, making sure it's just pretty much product is a lot of concentration. And I have to concentrate also on marketing because I have to sell this. Then I also have to concentrate on law things, financial things, reports, where things come from. So it's you're here, you're there, you're there, you're there, you're there. So it's a lot of concentration that your concentration is just taken from one side to the other. So that's a difficult part because you have to be really switching and nobody tells you what to do. It's nobody's telling you, okay, this is your job, you have to do this and everything's gonna be good. No, you really have to be creative. Just be like, okay, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? I mean, I can stay at my house and not do anything. And believe me, immediately nothing will happen. Nobody will scream at me. Money-wise, it won't affect me right there. It'll affect me in the future. But it's just being creative and just poof.
Yeah, the best part of being an entrepreneur is the freedom. The worst part of being an entrepreneur is freedom, because you need all that self-discipline. You need, nobody tells you what to do. So that is, yeah. So do you ever regret that you started your own business? Would you prefer to work for a corporation instead?
No way. I love having my own business. It's something really good, and literally, I feel like everything I do is actually working up to something, and I have a lot of fun doing this actually, which is the best part. Like financially wise, I believe this will pay off much better than working for a company later on, not right now, but later on. So financially, which is important as well, because I want to travel the world, everything. I mean, I have many dreams, which you need money for, but aside from the financial part, which I believe will be completed, it's amazing how fun it is. Like literally you have to be very creative, you have to be on your feet thinking. So I wake up and I'm really happy when I have to go to work. I mean, I have disciplined myself, so I have certain timings I have made for myself during the day, and you need that, because or else, believe me, that's the discipline part. It's a whole challenge on its own, but just
most people hate their jobs, so the fact that you wake up happy to go to work, that's a big thing. So then what advice would you give to our students if they wanted to have a business one day? What should they do now to be ready for it tomorrow? Or if you could go back in time, as one student put it, what would you do differently while you were a student to prepare yourself for this journey?
All right. Ooh, that's a good one. Look, what I would do differently, I could say a million things, but really, I think everything just played out perfect. Really, I'm happy with the way things are, the way things have been, because even the things that I see as mistakes actually helped me out, because it was experience. So even mistakes, probably not being so hard on yourself. Just don't beat yourself up too much when things don't work out, because being a business owner is also about making a lot of mistakes. Nobody teaches you this. I mean, you learn some things in university, you learn some things, but really life is just gonna teach you like that. So really, just enjoy it. Enjoy the good and the bad.
Right. There is another very important question. In fact, several students asked it, and Roberto De Palma asked it. So if they would wanted to promote your company and talk to potential partners, what should they say and how they should go about it? And in fact, one of the challenge points is that, yes, try not only come up with the ideas for how to promote the company, but try to literally sell the product or perhaps find a partner. So what should they do if they feel that there is somebody who might be interested in working with you? What should they say? At what point should they refer them to you? How should they go about it?
All right, definitely. I would say, I mean, I'm pretty easy to reach. Many people have tried to reach me. I have communicated with many students already through email, Facebook, stuff like that. Sometimes I'm on tour or I'm on excursions, so I can't do it right away, but I try to. First of all, contact me. I would say, like, let me know that it's coming from you. Let me know how it is. Talk to me a little bit about these people. And don't be afraid to contact them. Go for it. Just tell them what you know exactly. Look, go for it. Yeah. Really, just go for it.
What's the worst that can happen, right? So, I mean, if they're not interested, it's not like it's going to be any worse than it's been before. So, right.
Exactly. So just contact them, have fun with it, enjoy it, and then contact me, tell me about it a little bit, and then we see what we do. Yeah. But like that, contacting me, and then after you contacted them, that way I can know it came from you, everything like that, and we can see what works out.
Yeah, I personally strongly recommend that you try to talk to potential customers or partners, because you may have all those wonderful ideas for how it should work, but unless you actually give it a try, you will never know if it's going to work. And as they say, no battle plan survives the contact with the enemy. So you think, oh, if you say this, they will immediately line up to buy the service. But then you try one or two different customers, you talk to them, and they're interested in something completely different. So if you try it, first of all, you will be able to test your idea. Second, if it works and you get a customer, that's a wonderful line on your resume. You will be able to say that you facilitated an international transaction, be it selling a product or maybe finding a partner. I mean, when you will be applying for jobs, that's the best thing you can put on your resume. And third, if you actually succeed, the company may be willing to compensate you in some way. I mean, you know, if you help them, they will be happy to pay back. So definitely it's something that you should try. Yes. We're pretty much out of time, but Mohammed has a quick question. I see he raised his hand. Mahmouda, sorry. So if you would like to unmute your microphone and ask your question now, and this will be the last question of the day because we're way over time already. So Mahmouda, would you like to go ahead and ask the question?
Hi, my question.
Oh, it's a woman, sorry. Yes. Please go ahead.
Did you hear me? Okay, my question is, like, tourism is main, like, visual part, like the company name is like you know, perfect with. Do you have any channel that showing like the visual video that what are the customers are doing and what type of activity are like in the YouTube channel or Instagram? Like, do you have already like that type of thing for the promotion?
Yeah. Vertical Journey has an Instagram page. Many of you are following me, so just look for Vertical Journey on Instagram. Our webpage also, verticaljourney.pe, has a promotional video right there. And our Facebook page also has a few videos. So yeah, just look for us on social networks. We're there, we're present. We could do it better. We could promote a little bit more, stuff like that. But I mean, that's where you guys come in, where the ideas come in, but we are present on those three.
Yeah. So if you have ideas for a new script or a better video, share them. So maybe they will be good.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, it is 12 o'clock. We usually try to stay within 45 minutes. We're a little over time. I know you are very, very busy, Rodrigo, and I know students are busy. So thank you so much, everyone who participated. And so what's going to happen next is in about 2 weeks, we're going to have the reports from the early track. And in fact, Vertical Journey was the most popular company, so there are already quite a few reports. And then in another 9 weeks, the late track will be done. And I'm not sure at this time how many teams will choose your company, but something's telling me there will be quite a few. And so in early May, we will have that second stack of reports. And I truly hope that there will be some interesting ideas there. So let's see how it goes.
All right, amazing. Can I say some final words?
Yes, please, absolutely.
All right, everybody. I like the ideas that you guys are giving me. It could be either universities, it could be social media, it could be certain countries, it could be people who do yoga and start taking them to the jungle as yoga retreats, which I'm currently trying to work on as well. Martial arts, whatever. Really, what I like to see is the ideas that you guys have. Really, that's what I want to see. Don't restrain yourself. Don't try to just be free about this. Flow with this. If this was your company, how would you do it? Like, don't think about so much. Oh, what's the budget? Oh, what's the should I do it per click, or should I do it like this, or should I think how you would do it best?
Right.
That's what I mean.
Makes perfect sense. Rodrigo, there is one more question that just came in from Maria, and she's asking, I think I should voice it. If any ex-culture students wanted to become your clients, would you be willing to give them a discount?
We could talk about that. Yeah, if your ideas are good.
Yeah. So Maria, yes, if you have good ideas, contact Rodrigo directly, and hopefully you will be able to work out some discount. So why not? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. We're going to stop here, and we will be in touch again in a few weeks with the first batch of the reports, and then about 9 weeks later with the second batch of reports. And let's see how it goes. And students, if you have additional questions, always email them to us. We will forward them to the company. So thank you so much all for participating today. Thank you.
Excellent. Ciao.